Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Monday, March 18th, 2024 council meeting. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Okay. Well, folks, welcome to our newest council meeting this evening. We have got some more good stuff for you lined up. There's some young gentlemen here in the front row. We'd like for you guys to come up and just come around the dais here, and we'd like to recognize you. Okay, if you guys didn't know, this is the Clover wrestling team. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Fort Mill High School wrestling team. I can't run as fast as these guys. I'll just be done. Okay, so we'd like to recognize these guys. Fort Mill High School, we have a tremendous amount of athletes and coaching staff, and really appreciate what you guys do for our young people. These guys won the 5A state championship. So, yeah. Are you always tardy to class? All right. But we've got a recognition here for these guys this evening. So whereas the young men that make up the Fort Mill High School wrestling team have achieved outstanding accomplishments in 2023 and 2024, and whereas in 2023 the Fort Mill High School Yellow Jackets wrestling team won the South Carolina 5A state championship following a 34-32 win against Summerville. Whereas on February 10th, 2024, the young men that make up the wrestling team earned their second consecutive title as 5A state champions following an upset win of 32-27 against Summerville. Whereas the City of Tega Cay and the City Council would like to commend each wrestler for their achievements and sportsmanship, as well as the coaching staff for their leadership to their fellow Yellow Jackets and Fort Mill High School. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, we, the City Council of Tega Cay, do hereby congratulate and recognize the coaching staff and each wrestler on the Fort Mill High School wrestling team for their achievement in becoming the 2024 5A South Carolina State Championships.
Yeah, thank you guys for the recognition. It's an honor to be here tonight. These guys are an amazing group of young men, and I couldn't do it without my amazing coaching staff. And hopefully the goal is to now get 3 in a row. So that's it.
Let's go. Good job, gentlemen. Congratulations. Yes. That's a good question. What's that? She said, women get to eat like regular people now? Yeah, there you go. not cutting weight now. Yeah, and not have to wear the trash bags running. That's right.
Can't be just sit by the refrigerator and go,
which one of them's in 195? I want a piece of him.
Yeah. Be careful there. You might blow a hammy. There you go. There you go. Okay. Oh, got a lot more good stuff, folks. like to thank all of our folks that are on our committees committed to the city of Tega Cay. Without you, the wheels would fall off. We can't keep this thing turning without our volunteers, and we wanted to take a minute to recognize some folks. Some folks that are not here this evening. Randy Minich, he served on the Building Codes of Appeal since 2009 as the chair. Michael Long served on the Building Codes of Appeal since 2021. Roger Metz has served on the EDC since 2019. Ryan Ross has served on the Planning Commission since 2020 and has chaired since 2023. Amy Burris served on the Planning Commission since 2022 and served as vice chairwoman in 2023. Adam Grabiak served on the Planning Commission since 2022. And Nick Amico, I'd like to give Nick a special recognition. He served on the Planning Commission since 2019 and while deployed in the U.S. Army National Guard from October to 2022 to December 2023. And he was on the meetings, every meeting.
Didn't miss a meeting.
Yep, and while he was deployed. So two folks that I'd like to call up, if you would, Todd Baker and Ashley Rabin, if you would, please come up to the podium, please. Is Todd's on you? Okay. We bought him a new car.
Okay.
He said he needed one with all those stickers.
That's right.
All right. And with that, we'd like to have Phillips CPAs and advisors come up with their presentation regarding the financial audit.
That just means I wasn't meant to be a star, with a microphone in front of me. Just meant to be in accounting and in a closet somewhere. Just starting with the independent auditor's report, we do start with the opinions. It states that we've audited the accompanying financial statements of the governmental activities, business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city of Tega Cay for the year ended September 30, 2023. We state that in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city of Tega Cay as of September 30, 2023. All that to say we have a clean audit opinion, an unmodified audit opinion. That is the best opinion that the city can receive. So again, very clean audit, very good audit, no material weaknesses for me to point out to you all. Within the independent auditor's report, it details the basis for our opinions as the independent auditor. It details the responsibilities of management, the responsibilities of the auditors, and then also information in here about required supplementary information and other supplementary information. Nothing that you're not typically used to seeing. Again, very clean audit report. After that, we have our management's discussion and analysis. Again, a lot of information in here summarizing the financial information for the year for the city. A lot of good tables in here. If you look on page 7, you have a table of the city's net position comparative between the 2 years. Also on the next page, page 8, you have the comparison of the changes in the net position. That would be our revenues and expenditures. Again, for the year. So a lot of good information in the management's discussion and analysis. All to summarize our our financial statements, which start on page 11. And with our governmental accounting, they made it easy on us. We have 2 sets of financial statements within the audit. You have the full accrual basis of accounting, the government-wide statements, and then you have the fund financial statements. Really, primarily, the difference between the two are your long-term assets and long-term liabilities between the 2 sets of financial statements. So if we look at page 11, again, I'll just summarize here, but for the governmental activities, total assets, $48.862 million. Business type activities, 23.294. Have some deferred outflows of resources related to deferred charge on refunding and pensions. Liabilities, $28.807 million for our governmental activities, $14.687 for our business type. Again, some more deferred inflows there related to pensions. And then our net position for governmental activities, $21.399 and $8.935 for the business type activities. And the statement of activities, which is on the next page, shows us how we arrive at our end-of-year net position from our beginning-of-year net position. This is our revenues and our expenses. And this schedule reads kind of funky. So starting with the left, you have the expenses, and then you have your primary government here at the top, which is your governmental activities, and then your business type, which is our utility. So our expenses, total expenses for the year, $22.905. We have our charges for services revenues, $15.249, and then our operating grants and contributions, $3.005. Then if you go across and then down, you have your total general revenues down here at the bottom. And so for our governmental activities, $9.689 million, and business type, $276,000. This brings us to our change in net position. So we do have a positive change in net position for governmental activities for the year of $4.821 million, and then business type activities, $493,000 increase. A lot of numbers there. That's our first set of financial statements. Again, government-wide full accrual. On page 13, you have our fund financial statements. These are on the modified accrual basis of accounting. And again, we'll just look at total columns here. Again, the difference between the two primarily is your long-term assets and liabilities. And so you will see total assets, $14.926 million. Liabilities, $654. We do have some deferred outflows there of $137,000. So we have a positive fund balance for the year of $14.133 million. You'll see from your assets and liabilities, those long-term assets, capital assets are gone. On your liabilities, your debt and pension-related items are gone as well. And so this is the difference between the 2 sets of financials. On page 14 is a reconciliation between the 2 sets of financials. So, if you were so inclined, you could follow the numbers in between the 2 sets of financials and come back to the differences between the two. Page 15 is our revenues and expenditures on our governmental fund financial statement. So again, you'll see total revenues, $20.790. Total expenditures, $19.464. Other financing sources uses, $1.184. So we did have an increase in our governmental funds for the year of $2.510 million. Revenues less expenditures. The next page, again, is another reconciliation between the 2 sets of financial statements. And you'll see those items that we spoke of earlier, again, primarily your capital assets and long-term debt. Page 17 is the general fund actual amounts. We saw those on a previous statement, just here with our original and budgeted financials, and so the comparisons there between those over the year. On page 18 is our proprietary fund, which is our business type activities. This does not change from that first set of financial statements that we saw. So these numbers overall are the same numbers that we already went over, just broken down in between our different funds and a little bit more detail in the fund financials comparatively from the government-wide financials. But again, overall increase for the year in net position of 493 for our business type activities. Any questions on the financials? Because I know you've had tons of time to process all that. A lot of information, again, if there's any questions, you feel free to reach out to me at any time. The rest of our audit, again, another 40 some odd pages, are our financial footnotes. These footnotes are, a lot of that is boilerplate language. The items in here are required. There's always information, GASB standards, Governmental Accounting Standards Boards, standards that are implemented in every year. Some of those apply to the city, some of them don't. No new standards for us to mention that were applicable to the city this year. But again, information in here between the financial statements, some good information in capital assets, debt, et cetera. Again, the pension footnote is 8 pages. So the information that you're typically used to seeing, nothing new there. And then beyond that, supplementary information, a lot more schedules of breaking down the numbers that we saw in the financial statements, even more in the back supplemental schedules. Any questions?
Is there anything as a city that you think we should be focusing on? I think Bob does a wonderful job, but what could we do a better job on?
As far as what we have in the city is we have a small staff. So we always want to have that small staff, and technology is helping with that, but find ways to segregate duties as much as possible within small staff. But with most organizations, for every city of Chicago, there's however many cities of Tega Cay, right? Just tiny, small municipalities. Obviously, we would love to have an accounting department that had AP, AR, CFO. We would love to have a full spectrum of an accounting staff, but most small to medium-sized organizations are unable to do that. So it's just something that the city and council wants to keep in mind and make sure that we're always on top of segregating duties as much as possible.
I'm sorry. Did you have a follow-up? Are you able to share any practical thing, other than adding staff? Because that was the basis of my question as well, based on the recommendation that you had given. Can you share some practical things that could be done without the addition of staff that would help with that segregation or?
Y'all do very well. So there's not much to add other than what you're doing, other than, again, additional staff. What we've seen with technology lately is, there's different ways to process bills and, a lot of different ways to use technology so that, for instance, something can go to someone else and they can check off on that, whereas you're not having to come in and, go through papers. But we, as part of our tests of what we do on the city, we look at the different internal control related matters and how processes are working. And so the processes are good for the size and are being followed. So it's very good.
Can you, I don't know, you can't really give an opinion potentially, but how's the city doing in relative terms compared to others you've seen that you guys potentially audit without saying any cities, financially and on our debt as well?
Right. I'd never get asked that question. So yeah, it's as with anything, it's totally subjective. But the city, for instance, has increases in fund balances this year, increases in net position. One thing the last couple of years, I always say, okay, well, let's be careful if that is. We did have the ARPA money come in. So a lot of times, for instance, if that money comes in, hasn't been spent in the same year, you have those flow over. So you may have, an increase one year and a decrease the other. So that's good to keep in mind. But yes, I mean, the city is, paying its debt accordingly. The ratios all look good. So, it's something that I've been doing this long enough that I have seen municipalities, have a good bit of money and good financially sound, and then, practices have happened over a few years and that money has dwindled. So it's always, pertinent to keep in touch and with the fund balances and make sure that, the budgets essentially are being met when we're budgeting. All right.
Thank you, sir.
y'all.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Okay, with that, we will cover public comments. If everyone would remember to please state your name and address. First is Andrea Korth.
Hi there. Can you hear me? Okay. Andrea Korth, 1817 Grove Park Lane. Hello again. I'm saying the same thing I have the last two meetings, so bear with me. I'd like to share my support and support of my neighbors who were not able to attend today to amend the fencing ordinance to allow townhomes to be exempt from the fence opacity requirements. As you may know, several homes in Windhaven received approval from our HOA for privacy fences, but we were not aware that they violated the city fence ordinance. We feel a change in this ordinance aligns with the changes we see in the type of housing being added as the city grows and allows those of us that share a wall with our neighbors to have a little bit of privacy in our backyard. As a reminder, it was discussed in the last city council and previous city council meetings that the HOA for each neighborhood can make their own rules and can have their own regulations that are more restrictive than what the city permits. So I know we had a concern last time about blocking views or not being able to see through the neighborhood, so that would solve that problem so each community can make their own rules on top of what the city makes. I greatly appreciate the council's quick action on this. I know we brought it up in January and here we are at the second reading already. So I really appreciate that, and I speak for all of Windhaven Townhomes when we say thank you. So again, appreciate your quick action and consideration on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Eichert.
Hi, guys. Mary Eichert, 25015 Molokai Drive. Good evening, Council. I just wanted to have a few quick acknowledgments and comments from me this evening. First, I want to commend you all for your increased efforts in engaging with the community over the past 2 months. The monthly coffee chats and the monthly workshop spaces have been particularly appreciated. These initiatives offer us a valuable glimpse into your operations behind the scenes and demonstrate your genuine commitment to improve communication between the city and residents. Especially the most recent workshop this past Wednesday, which was about our favorite subject, the deer management. Y'all can't escape that. Thank you, Joey. You did an amazing job providing a deeper dive into questions from the community and where we stand now in a post-cull atmosphere. As we all know, the deer situation isn't going to go away overnight. And so it's important to keep an open dialogue with the city and the residents on what we learned, our next steps, areas of improvement, on what makes the most sense for a long-term solution. And I just want to give a quick call out to Brian. We truly appreciate your consistent focus here on non-lethal solutions. Your suggestion for a feeding station for the deer was my favorite part of the meeting. Sign me up. But it showcased your innovative thinking and willingness to challenge traditional approaches that might make sense on paper but don't always work. And speaking of call-outs, Scott Shirley, despite our differences and your previous concerns with the programs that we have been researching, I want to acknowledge and thank you for reaching out to our wildlife Facebook page. Your invitation to come to the workshop and stay informed on alternative deer management programs was a generous gesture. Your willingness to extend an olive branch did not go unnoticed. It also did not go unnoticed when you suggested public hunting here in Tega Cay. My ears perked up, as did many, but I'll yell at you for that another time. Despite doing a better job communicating, we realize you all have a lot on your plates, not just the deer situation, but all the other daily and ongoing issues the city has to face. I would like to reiterate one thing Joey mentioned in his presentation, and that is a wildlife management program must be prioritized. As you all saw, introducing a quick, get the numbers down fast solution did not go as planned. It was a strain on our community, a strain on our police force, and a strain on all of our city leaders. I wrote a lot of this other stuff to sound brilliant, but I'm gonna run out of time. So I urge you all, please continue your efforts in engaging with the experts, engaging with each other, and most importantly, engaging with the community. Do another public survey, as it could provide valuable insights, as we now understand that deer management is about more than just culling. Dr. DiNicola made that very clear. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
Mr. Mayor and Council, can I make a comment?
Have at it.
I just want to thank you, Mary, because I know this is not something that you're 100% comfortable with, standing in front of a microphone and speaking in front of people. And I appreciate though we disagree, the good relationship that we have, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Alicia Formato.
Good evening, Council. My name is Alicia Formato, 25030 Riley Lane. First of all, I would like to say to all other Tega Cay residents, please watch the video on YouTube of the workshop meeting from Wednesday last week. There was a lot of important information discussed. I want to thank Council for engaging in such a constructive meeting. Joey did an exceptional job of presenting facts about the reality of where we are with deer management using the USDA or white buffalo. He also presented facts about where we are in Tega Cay currently. 6 deer vehicle collisions, specific data on areas of understory destruction where deer impact was the greatest, and attrition rates. Every option has its positives and negatives. There is no good option for deer management. Councilwoman Miller, I would really appreciate you speaking up about the importance of listening to the people and conducting a new public survey with good design using good tools, like you said, Councilman Heislett. Now that we have multiple options on the table with multiple price tags attached and the possibility of changing safety protocols and the use of private property, how do residents feel? Is this how tax dollars should be spent? And as Charlie so eloquently pointed out, do our actions match our why? It is important to know how Tega Cay residents feel at this time. And I agree with your perspective, Councilwoman Miller, that we must think both short-term and long-term. Y'all have 2 to 4 years to execute this plan together. But the vision must be a roadmap for the future. It was neat to hear you brainstorming, and I'm so encouraged by what I heard on Wednesday. This program needs to be done either right or not at all, meaning we must not be short-sighted and we cannot get away with doing half the job. We must address the issue of reproduction, for that is what is driving the numbers. Culling alone does nothing to decrease the population, and since the beginning of this conversation, the numbers have not changed. Our reproduction rate is approximately 24%, so even with safety protocols and reduced and a more successful cull, 160 deer is only 16%, effectively not even flatlining our population. Again, we must address the problem at the level of reproduction. At Tega Cay Wildlife's very first meeting with city leaders back in August, Mayor Gray was the first person to say, if there's a problem and we have a creative solution, let's do it our way. Let's do it the Tega Cay way. It can be hard to be the first, but if we are successful, we will be leaders to many other communities that struggle with human deer conflicts. Let's build a deer management program that makes our city proud. After Wednesday's meeting, I am hopeful for our city having dynamic conversations and truly investigating all options, consulting with experts, staying grounded in science, and doing the right thing by getting community feedback and buy-in. Neighbors, please watch Wednesday's meeting, check the city's website, and get involved in this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Kessel.
Okay. I'm Stephanie, and I too would like to begin by reiterating the significance of last week's focused brainstorming session. It was clear that each council person came prepared and open-minded, ready to respectfully listen and share their different perspectives. It was reassuring to see our leaders come together, committed to gathering facts, asking questions, and learning more without egos or agendas. I am a nature enthusiast and one of the founding members of Tega Cay Wildlife Conservation Society. We're a volunteer-run group committed to protecting, preserving, and promoting the good life for all who call Tega Cay home. And as many of you know, Tom Heislip is our liaison. Tom will also be the first person to say the deer are not his biggest concern. However, it is abundantly clear that the residents are. I bring this up because when it is all boiled down, regardless of how we show up as concerned citizens, as community advocates, or as elected leaders, we all have chosen Tega Cay as our home. We share this tiny corner of the world together, knowing that the good life happens here in Tega Cay. However, like every community, we have challenges, and like all cities, Tega Cay also has limited resources. While residents and leaders set priorities and provide direction, it's actually Charlie and his team that actually manage these priorities and overcome the logistical challenges. And I bring both Tom and Charlie up because it was their perspectives that really stuck with me after the brainstorming session. Both have looked hard at the ROI of resources used on removing the 36 deer during the cull, knowing the cost was not only the money spent, but also the strain on our police, our city workers, and our community at large. Both also noted the reality that Tega Cay is a city experiencing both acute and growing pains. And bottom line, finite resources mean prioritizing challenges is what our city faces, and it needs to be done methodically and thoughtfully. Both Tom and Charlie acknowledge the complexity of balancing the needs of the city, the wants of the residents, and of course the resources available. And they pointed to answering two basic questions. And those are, one, what are the most critical needs of the city? And two, why? Why are these critical, and what makes them our top priority? Ultimately, these answers will help justify our priorities and guide next steps. Thank you for your proactively setting these brainstorming sessions in motion, Council, and modeling respectful listening, active data gathering, and an open-mindedness even when our challenges or our priorities maybe were questioned. Also, at residents, I ask you to take a page from that. You do your research. Check out the YouTube, stay collaborative and open-minded, and mostly be patient, because this isn't going to be an overnight solution. Yes!
Thank you, Stephanie. And that will conclude our public comments. Okay, everybody ready to approve minutes? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from the regular city council meeting from February 20th, 2024.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion? All right. Well, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
For the special city council workshop meeting, February 24th, 2024, I need another motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the special city council workshop meeting minutes from February 24th, 2024.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Deletions, additions, subtractions? Okay. Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will bring us to our committee appointments. Mr. Funderburk, if you would, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As council is aware, we've had our committee and commission and board positions posted for a couple of months now as the current terms are set to expire. The top nominees, and council, I'll present these to where if you're so moved, you can capture it all in one motion versus doing each committee by themselves. So for stormwater, we had 6 vacancies and 6 applicants. Your top nominees: Jerry Church, Maureen Norcutt, Robin McInnes, Heather Jones, Lauren Cahut, and Wes Warden. For Planning Commission, you have 4 vacancies and 5 applicants. Your top 4 nominees are Thomas Gilani, Justin Jacques, Nick Amico and Raymond Hill. For building codes, there's 8 vacancies. There were only 2 applicants. One was nominated for stormwater, so that leaves you with 1. And at council's direction, tomorrow we'll be re-advertising the building codes appeals and opening that back up. But Jesse Garrett is your nominee there. And then for EDC, there were 5 vacancies and 15 applicants, which usually we get a lot for Planning Commission, not very much for the others. So 15 that came in for EDC. And your top 5 nominees are Gus Machunas, Chris Frankhauser, Ashley Rabin, Roger Metz, and Adam Grabiak. So I present those names to council for y'all's consideration. Say again?
I'm sorry, I missed, I got the list of the 5 for EDC, but missed the 4th one you mentioned. That was the top 5. Gus, Chris.
Ashley. Roger Metz was the 4th name.
Roger, thank you.
Yep, so you've got Gus Machunas, Chris Fankhauser, Ashley Rabin, Roger Metz, and Adam Grabiak.
Thank you.
Okay. So I would need a motion to approve those names and lists.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I make a motion to approve all of the proposed members of councils and committees as read by the city manager.
Do I have a second? I have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Big shout out to Casey, who did a remarkable job of putting up with my tardiness and getting those reports back in.
Oh, good.
She
This
did a
is, I think,
super
maybe
job.
the second time we've used the Matchboard platform, and I think it'll get a little bit easier for everybody, incling our applicants.
That's a little cumbersome for an old guy like me, but she did a great job of turning it around.
She will be notifying all the applicants tomorrow, and at council's suggestion, those that were not appointed, to encourage them to sign up for building codes. And then Mayor, she'll coordinate with you as far as a date and time to get them sworn in.
Thank you.
Sounds great. Okay, moving on. Committee reports. Our PC, please, if you would, Councilman Shirley.
Yes, sir. Planning Commission met on March 4th. There was a quorum of 4 members. The current chairman was not present, so Nick Amico sat in as the interim chair in absence of Ryan, our current chair. They did approve the minutes from regular meeting and a special public hearing that they did with council in February. There was consideration for approval of Windell Woods Phase 2 final plat. There was also discussion at the direction of council to review for possible amendments to the zoning code, Article 20, for the Marina Overlay District. This is probably going to be pretty active discussion, and the Planning Commission realized that there could be and will be some incoming members, so they didn't want to make any decisions. But there was a very good, very healthy discussion around that. Nick did a great job of keeping them on point and keeping them focused on the discussions there. I think the next probably couple of months will be really interesting to hear some of the feedback that they have and some of the recommendations as they look through some of the zoning codes and building codes, what might make sense there as a recommendation to council. Ryan, Ross, Amy Burrows, and Adam Grabick are not returning to Planning Commission, although one of them was present for the meeting.
Thank you, sir. Right. That'll bring us back to some unfinished business. The consideration of the second reading of an amendment to the zoning code, Ordinance 77, as it relates to fencing requirements. This item was considered as a result of public comments made at the January 16th council meeting and as requested by Councilman Tom Heislip. Would you have any comment to share?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading of an amendment to the zoning code ordinance 77 as it relates to fencing requirements, Article 13.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to thank Planning Commission and staff for getting this done so quickly. And as you said,
It was a quick turnaround.
yes.
Thank you.
We don't get checklist items as often, so that was nice.
And Nick, I'd like to thank you for your contributions on that as well. So, all right. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Next, we have a little bit more unfinished business. Second reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 2, Ordinance 565 of the city's code. This item is being considered at Mayor Pro Tem Miller's request. Do you have any discussion?
No discussion, but I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 2 of Ordinance 565 of the city's code.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on this? ladies and gentlemen?
The only part that I have discussion with is the last paragraph where it says the city manager has the right to further negotiate the terms of the bid of a chosen bidder, even if the terms alter the terms, conditions, and/or specifications of the bid. That was just a consideration. We had a conversation about that last time. Charlie did specify that he would never change the contract unless it was brought to the council. So I just want to make sure that we're still on board with that. And
Yes, I don't have the authority to change city contracts without council's blessing. What this speaks to is negotiating with the lowest bidder on their bids before we go to contract. Obviously, we're going to try to negotiate with them to get the best deal we can for the city. But as far as contracts go, I don't have the authority as a city manager to change or alter contracts without it coming through council, because council has to approve all contracts.
perfect. Just want to make sure we get that on the record and move forward with that. That was my conversation.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. We have a little new business on the table. We got a consideration of an agreement for a part-time municipal court solicitor. At this time, the city does not have a court solicitor. This item is being brought to council in order to contract with an independent party to fulfill the position on a part-time basis. Charlie, if you care to elaborate.
Sure, be glad to. Thank you, Mayor and Council. As the mayor said, our former solicitor left us back in November, so we've been making our way through court, if you will. Every solicitor that we've had has actually come out of the solicitor's office, which, while we're appreciative of their time and their efforts on behalf of the city, it means we don't really have access to them during the day. And now we've got to the point where we're doing two court sessions in the evening, 2 court sessions during the day. So we're excited to hopefully bring Ms. Davis on and join that team to where our officers can continue to grow and learn through the court process, be able to make good cases on behalf of the city, and we would appreciate council's favorable consideration.
Okay. Do I have a motion to consider?
Yeah, motion to approve the agreement with L. Cheryl Davis as the part-time municipal court solicitor and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Do we have any further discussion, ladies and gentlemen?
Just want to say for the benefit of the public that are here or watching, our police officers do a remarkable job in our community and do a great job of law enforcement. They're not attorneys, and they're not necessarily trained in arguing a case in law, but a solicitor like this will help them to improve in those skills, and will also put the city in a position to hold folks that are lawbreakers accountable. I think it's important for us to have someone in this position to support our law enforcement when they bring a case before the court, and really proud to be able to offer this. And thank you, Chief and Charlie, for bringing that to us.
I would like if you could share a little bit about how we got to this specific candidate and what qualifications she has and how she was chosen and what the process of that was, please.
Absolutely. So we advertise a position like we would a regular full-time position with the city. Took applications in. Ms. Davis actually has a background as a former assistant prosecutor with City of Rock Hill, as well as assistant public defender for Lancaster County and York County. So of the applicants that we got in, she was the most well-rounded, most well-qualified based on her municipal and magistrate court experience that she's had in the past. Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Some more new business. A consideration of an agreement with the Tega Cay Music Teachers Association for the keeping of a piano in the hearth room of the Glennon Center. The Tega Cay Music Teachers Association utilizes a portion of the Glennon Center to store and utilize a piano. This item is being considered by council at the request of the association and the city. Do I have a motion?
I would like to motion to approve the agreement with the Tega Cay Music Teachers Association for the keeping of a piano in the hearth room of the Glennon Center and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
So, question, this is just providing space for the piano?
Yes.
That is
Okay.
correct. Yep.
And
So
that-
if I can, Mayor, I've got a note here from Laura Saunders, who is part of the Tega Cay Music Association, which is the official name of their 501c3, and it's made up of musicians and community leaders. For the past 2 years, they've been raising money for a replacement piano for the Glennon Center, as well as music scholarships, including Fort Mill Middle School Band. They have reached their goal of replacing the piano and are generously providing it for all to use. We really look forward to continuing to partner with the Music Association. I believe they actually provided some of our musical entertainment at the tree lighting this past year. Is Linda Reeves here? Linda. If Linda is also part of the Music Association. I know they've got some great events planned that Miss Linda can touch on for us. But just real quickly, the particulars, if you will, to answer your question, Mr. Shirley, yes, this is a license agreement just for the space in the hearth room. The Music Association is covering the insurance on the piano. They'll cover the maintenance on the piano and things of that nature. So,
Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Hi, I'm Linda Reeves, and I'm the chairwoman of the Tega Cay Music Association, and I'm joined by board members and other supports. The Tega Cay Music Association is excited for our partnership with the city in presenting the piano to be housed in the Glennon Center. We're looking forward to showcasing it to Tega Cay on our first open music night on May 11th at 5:30 p.m. This is just the beginning of many of our events to come, and if you're interested in learning more, please send an email to tegacaymusic@gmail.com. Additionally, our goal is to help musicians of all age and abilities in the community through various music scholarships. Last fall, we were able to contribute a scholarship to Gold Hill Middle School towards their band instruments, and we hope to expand this program as well. Thank you again for this opportunity. We look forward to supporting the city on behalf of the Tega Cay Music Association.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
So will there be some sing-alongs on May 11th? Okay.
There will be some sing-alongs and there will be some duct tape provided.
Pretty likely.
I would just like to say thank you. That is such a really wonderful addition to what we have to offer, and that you're willing to get involved and provide that as an opportunity for so many. Having been raised by a music teacher and having zero talent, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to share yours.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Love the fact that we have this here in our community to expand the arts in our area with just, not just music, but then try and do other things as well, is something I'd like to see the city focus on. And the music portion of it that you're doing is absolutely amazing. Coming from an arts background myself, just myself and my wife, love it. So thank you. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing.
We appreciate all the hard work that you ladies have put into this. I know you've got my ear. Anytime that you guys need some help, please let me know. I really can't move pianos these days. My back won't let me, but we got a wrestling team that when I shook their hands, you could feel the power there, buddy, I tell you. So just let me know. I can get them to give you a hand.
That's right.
Do we still need musical instruments for the middle school and high school? Okay, so if anybody, and I still owe you a saxophone, if anybody has musical instruments at their home that are just kind of laying around and not doing a lot, you can get with me. Let me know, and be more than happy to fill the pickup with them. If we can keep our kids' hands in good working order and
Doing
keep them
something
out of trouble,
productive.
it's a lot better to do that with musical instruments than it is by other means. So please, if you do, just look around the house. Sometimes we forget that old clarinet's been stashed in the top of the closet for years. But just take a look at it, and even if it's in pretty rough shape, just bring it in. Let us look at it, and we'll be more than happy to give it to some kids that really need it. So just be cognizant of that and help us out a little bit. And I'm glad the piano's back. I'm sorry that the piano met its demise under the flood of last year, but the Grinch bestowed us a nice flood in the Glennon Center. So, but really appreciate everything you ladies are doing. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll call the question. Did we already vote on it? I need a second first. You got the first and second, so now we need a vote. Yeah, we need a vote.
We got a motion and a second, right?
You got a motion and a second.
Okay. Aye.
So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Hey, when I get to talking about music, I get excited. Consideration, this is a consideration of awarding a bid for street patching. If you would, please, Tim.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to bring this bid before you tonight for your approval. We let the bid out on January 12th, and the bid was due March 1st, so that gives us plenty of time for a bid to be considered for our bidders. The bid was for street patching. There are some areas in Lake Ridge that have sustained moderate damage to the asphalt paving in certain areas, and also on Stonecrest Boulevard, and we'd like to get those patched. It's in the chart on the bid. We are going to replace 3,376 square feet of asphalt at 4 inches thick, which should meet the requirements for a stable asphalt product once we are finished with that contract. As part of that bid, we received one bid during the bid process from Eddie Smith and Sons Paving, and we would like your favorable approval for $39,500 for Eddie Smith and Sons Paving to execute this contract. Thank you. Is there any questions?
Do you want to have discussion first, or you want to put it to motion?
You want to make a motion first? Sit tight, Tim.
1 second, Tim. Please. So motion to award the bid for street patching in the amount not to exceed $39,500 and issue the city manager a notice to proceed.
Have a
Tim.
motion, have a second?
Yeah, second. Sorry.
I have a second. We have discussion.
Yes.
We got to modify the motion. Remember Casey told us?
Yes, that's correct. Tim, tell us again the name of the contractor.
Eddie Smith and Sons Paving.
That's the adjustment, right?
You said we're good without it? We're good? Okay. Disregard.
Tim, could you tell me again, please, the dates that the bid went out and the date it was closed?
The bid was dated January 12th. The bid was received March 1st at 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Great. Thank you, I appreciate that. I like that to be a part of the record so folks know that we requested bids and what the results of those requests were. So thank you for that.
Any other questions?
As part of the bidding process, when you are getting, and you see that there's only one bid that's coming in, is there anything that you guys do to try to get additional bids? Because how do you know that this amount is competitive?
We did contact several of our regular bidders, and we also put that on SCIBO, which is our statewide bid announcement platform, I guess you could call that, yes. And we were confident that this bid came back at a normal rate for the asphalt paving at this time. Unfortunately, yes, we only got one bid. They are a regular contractor of ours. There are not a lot of contractors that want these smaller jobs. This is considered a small job for this patching. They do have to move around. It's not one street. If they had one street that was $100,000, we'd probably get more bidders.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the only reason I can think of that this would be only one bidder. Nobody really paid attention to it because it was
Probably
small.
not a big project, so big contractors probably
Right.
aren't going to be interested
It
in it.
was just 7 areas, I believe. Yes, 7 areas.
Okay. But you did contact others to see if you could get another bid?
Yes, our maintenance superintendent, Chad Holland, did contact some of our regular companies that work in this area and we've used before and that have bidded before, and they choose not to submit a successful bid.
And this is for patching in various areas across the city, right?
Patching, yes. It'd be 2 areas on Stonecrest and 5 areas in Lake Ridge.
Okay, very good. Appreciate you mentioning that because folks usually respond with, their favorite pothole and wondering if it's going to get patched. So I appreciate you sharing that.
We're trying to keep up with that too.
Of course. Thank you.
Tim, one thing that I was noticing on the, with the bid package, and with Eddie Smith and Sons proposal, it said they're gonna grade and compact the existing stone-based material in the excavated areas. There's several places in Tega Cay that do not have stone base existing. So if the stone base is not there existing,
They'd have to replace it.
okay,
In these particular areas, we feel confident there is a base there. They'll be able to take out what they need to, compact what's there, and then put the 4 inches back.
okay. And they're gonna go back up with just top coat, or are they going in with binder?
I believe it's top coat. I can't remember whether it was number B binder or not.
Okay. Well, with just 4 inches of patching,
It should be fine.
top coat will be just fine. It's just a little more expensive for top coat.
Yeah, we had some areas in Lake Ridge where the tack separated between the 2 layers, the construction layer and the top coat layer, and there caused some shoving. And it's right near stop signs mostly, and it caused a problem. So we need to get that repaired.
Okay.
I just want to make sure nobody else. Just a question more about the process than the contractor. In the process of getting bid, that's outlined to get the bids, it said that you require a payment bond and a performance bond. The performance bond was listed as a requirement for the submittal of the bid, but I didn't see one on there.
Those are usually for large projects.
Okay.
So-
It was stated on this one, so
I don't.
it said over 30,000, anything over 30,000.
Well, we're right at that, yeah. So I got a certificate of insurance. I did not see a bid bond. I don't believe, what is this one here?
What's the purpose of a bid bond, so they can't walk
Licensing
away
board.
from it?
It's, yeah, payment.
Okay.
Eddie Smith, I mean, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it just says that they're gonna
I'm just
perform the
I'm
work.
just asking from the process, not from the contractor, right?
We've gotten them
I'm
for
not.
C-fund projects exceeded $100,000, but I don't remember getting a performance bond for this small of a project.
Again, I'm just looking
Yes,
at
I
what it
understand.
says anything over 30,000, so that's where my question's coming from. If it's different, then, and you're saying it's fine, then I'm just going by what it
Yeah, I
said.
don't have the full bid in front of me. I can research that if you need to.
Are we in any
I don't know.
Charlie and Bob, do you know if we're in any kind of violation because of that standard?
I don't have the procurement ordinance in front of me. I don't know whether, Ms. Miller, where are you quoting the 30,000 from?
Oh, it's in the bid process, in the outline of the bid process. It says that anything over 30.
It's in this particular bid process? Mm-hmm. Well, I think if you just got one bid back, and Tim, they didn't offer to supply it, is that right?
I didn't see one in the bid package, no.
Well, I think it's a little bit different. If you just got one bid back, you might have to make an exception and not get it. I don't know if that answers your question, though.
Can you tell me what, if we don't have one, and I'm learning and I'm asking,
Yep.
but if you don't have a performance bond and you're not asking for one, what is the risk? And I understand that this is someone that has done a lot of work for the city, so it's probably not a specific question to this contractor, but just in general, what does that take care of? Because it was asked as part of the bid.
You're asking, what does the bond do?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? Well, usually it's an insurance company. The last one we dealt with on a big project, Catawba Park, Travelers, for instance, you probably have heard of Travelers. They being the surety, the insurance company, either has to finish the project or pay the city to finish it. That's what the bond does. One's a payment bond, one's a performance bond. You usually get both on a big project like Catawba Park. So the risk, I think that's the risk is well, Tim, I guess we're not going to pay them until they've completed the project. Is that correct?
That's the plan, yes, sir.
Well, the risk is they start and they don't finish, and you haven't paid them. You wouldn't pay them. You'd go out and get somebody else to do it or finish it yourself.
And
Ms. Miller,
in the procurement ordinance, it's for $100,000 or more is what the requirement is. So we're well under that. My guess would be is that the performance bond language was in there from a previous RFP. Probably could have came out on this one because it's not required under our code for something of this low amount.
I think I can give you a better answer, Ms. Miller. What example would be in Catawba Park, we were making payments, progress payments as we went along. So let's say you were halfway in and we paid $7 million and they walked. Then you're out some money. Then that's when the performance bond, maybe the payment bond would come into place. But in a case like this, you haven't paid them any money until they finish. So I think your exposure is probably minimal. And another thing on these smaller projects as compared to the 100,000 threshold that Charlie just mentioned, acquiring those bonds is expensive from what I've seen. The insurance companies have a minimum charge. So I don't think sounds like your procurement ordinance doesn't require it, and I personally don't see any reason to get it, to incur that expense. They may have to rebid their total if they're going to have to go buy a bond.
Okay. It's not, I understand what you're saying about the procurement ordinance. This is specifically in the bid request that it says the 30,000. So if they're not matching, maybe they probably need to, so that it's not required of smaller jobs if you don't feel it's necessary.
What sounds like their response is, I mean, you request, that's in the bid request, correct? Well, their response is, we're not doing it. Sounds to me like. That's your one bid response.
Well, there's a lot less risk for the city if we're not paying them until it's done, too. Yeah.
And if you had multiple bids, this would be a reason why you would deny someone, you would not consider their bid because they're not supplying this?
We could, yes, ma'am.
But you have to consider it because they're the only ones?
Yeah, we would look at it, we could look at it as an incomplete bid. Mm-hmm.
And for what it's worth, I've never seen a bond supplied on something of this size. It's just prohibitively expensive. I know that's just a comment, not responsive to your question. Sounds to me like their responsive bid was we're not supplying it.
They've got a pretty good guarantee to get paid when the job's done, though. Like I said, that's That gives the city the assurance.
So I guess the takeaway to Mayor Pro Tem Miller's question is, I guess we got to make sure when we put these bids out, if we don't need it, don't put it in there, right?
Right.
If it's $100,000's the limit, we shouldn't have had it in the request to start with.
Right, if there were 5 bids in and we were okay not having it, then we shouldn't exclude people that aren't giving it. And if we're going to have 1 bid, but we're requiring it, then that should be considered an incomplete bid if we're following the process.
Correct.
And what's been asked.
You're absolutely right.
That might encourage more bids.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about bids.
Right.
See,
No. Not on that amount, likely.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion?
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Tim.
that. Thanks for hanging in.
All right, I would call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Our next item is a consideration of the performance, labor, and materials surety agreement and letter of credit for Windell Woods Phase 2. Shea Homes has requested to move forward with their final plat for Phase 2, Windell Woods. In order to do this, they have requested to enter into a performance, labor, and materials surety agreement with the city and have provided a letter of credit.
Mr. Mayor, before Nick gets in, just as a point of clarification, there are actually 2 PLM surety agreements for 2 LOCs. Okay, so it's agreements, plural. Just for a point of clarification, there are 2 PLM surety agreements for the 2 LOCs, but it's all for this one Phase 2 map.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the performance, labor, and materials surety agreement and letter of credit for Windell Woods Phase 2 contingent upon the approval from the city attorney.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. Isaac, could you make that plural?
Yes. Agreement. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the performance, labor, and materials surety agreements and letters of credit for Windell Woods Phase 2 contingent upon the approval from the city attorney.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. We have discussion.
Can we hear from Mr. Nick
Yeah, we
first?
can hear-
Mr. Director?
Yes, let's hear from Nick.
Yes, I'll just give a brief summary of, so the Planning Commission approved this plat for Windell Woods Phase 2 at their March meeting. This plat contains approximately 24 acres and 61 single-family homes. This is on the westernmost portion of the Shea property adjacent to Dam Road. And basically, this is a request from Shea Homes for council to consider approval of the PLM agreements and the 2 letters of credit. I'm here if you have any questions about those.
I do have a question. It's been brought to our attention recent months that we've been having some issues with some water drainage and some stormwater runoff to an adjacent neighborhood there. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Can you go over kind of the discussions that we've had with Shea to remedy that problem?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually caught up with our environmental compliance officer today just to kind of get the latest summary on that. So for those that aren't aware, basically there's a clear water bypass or a pipe that goes all the way across Windell Woods from the northern property boundary to the southern property boundary, which is adjacent there to Lake Ridge. And our engineer has been out there and their engineer's been out there, and it meets basically all the plans, and I mean it meets the plans and the specifications, and also it's been inspected, and they've been on site to make sure that where it's coming daylighting, which is onto Shea's property, but then ultimately our property, which is adjacent, which is basically the common area for Lake Ridge. The water ultimately drains some onto a low-lying area. I was going to find the lowest point, so a low-lying area of our property. And this was basically I wouldn't even call it a stream. It was a drainage area. So there's not constant flow of water, but when there's a rain, there's water coming through the pipe. But everything from our engineers, their engineers, has been designed correctly and is, functioning correctly. Is the direction that we've gotten from our side and their side. There is some debris down there that we're going to look to see if make sure that Shay either cleans it up, or that we get someone down there to clean it up, because it's not from their property, but it's due to the pipe, because naturally when you have a drainage area, the water's going to seep in, but with the pipe, all of the water, and instead of sort of dissipating as it goes, I think the correct term is scour velocity, so that has increased with this, but everything is functioning correctly, and we are monitoring the situation and making sure there's weekly visits by their third-party inspectors, and also our guys with any type of issues. They are on site and aware to make sure that that's monitored. So
Okay.
that's what I've gathered from the conversations that I've had.
Okay. Yeah, I visited that area in question that we were talking about 2 weeks ago. A lot of sediment in the riprap catch basin that's at the bottom of the hill there in that low-lying area.
And I can speak to that directly. That there has been a call for them to clean that up yet, because that is not acceptable to remain that way.
It just looks to me like when you've got that, and granted, we had a 4-inch rain, so I mean it was a tremendous amount of water. But when you have that kind of a water issue, the riprap is there to slow that water down so that it doesn't hit that silt fence and blow it out. Did we do anything to address the sediment that we're having from the top side? Like, are we going to put any neoprene screens in the drains or anything like that on the top side to try to address that sediment problem? Because the thing that I worry about is when you do have sediment like that, it gets into everything. So as time goes by, we've got more sediment, more rain, that pipe is going to be ineffective, when we take it over as a city. And we don't want to be inheriting a maintenance nightmare like that. Have we had a camera down that pipe, or has Shay?
If I can jump in on that. So when we move towards street acceptance, we require them to clean the pipes, clean the basins and things like that before it ever becomes ours. What may be good is let Nick and I get with Ben, our environmental compliance manager, because I know, Mayor, when you brought it to my attention a couple weeks ago, he went out there that day.
Yeah.
I think Nick can attest to everything that we've ever put to Shay. They've been very, very responsive with no pushback. Hey, y'all need to go do this, and they jump right on it. So maybe let's see if we can get a report from Ben, and we'll share it with council. But I feel quite positive he has addressed the concerns that have been brought up. Nick talked about the quote-unquote damming of this. I call it a wet weather conveyance ditch. Yeah, it's not a stream. It doesn't have water flowing through it 24/7.
No, it's definitely seasonal.
But when water flows, we want to make sure that it's able to dissipate and not turn stagnant and things like that. And whether Shay helps us with that or whether our folks do it, I know we've got a plan to make sure that gets cleaned up.
Thank you, Charlie. Do we have any further questions, folks?
Yeah, I have one. Nick, maybe you can help with this. I don't want to create a solution looking for a problem here, but I know there's been some unpopular discussion about runoff from Trinity into the lake and some silt buildup. And although I think we've had some really good authorities that said that there's not an impact causing that, I just want to make sure that we're protecting our residents and protecting the environment from that type of runoff that you're talking about, with that buildup, the silt, any kind of debris that might be, it's eventually going to find its way to the lake. And when it does, we don't want to change the quality of life of people that live on that lake or between where the runoff is and the lake.
Right, absolutely.
I was just going to say, I did go with Chris to walk that area. And Charlie, are you saying that the whether it's through Shea or through the city, it's going to be, that runoff and the sediment and the added debris that's down there, that will get cleaned out? I think that's really important for the people that live in that neighborhood in the back of it to really understand that, because what they shared with us and the way that water was coming down during that storm and they shared at other storms, it doesn't look like it's right as it stands right now. So I'm glad to hear that that's something that's going to be addressed.
Any sediment that leaves the site, the developer's required to clean up.
Okay.
So, and I know that they've been addressing that as weather permits. And then the debris has been inspected and reported back. It didn't come from their site, but it can cause an issue. So we're trying to get Shea to assist in getting that removed so that the water doesn't sit and it can go where it needs to go.
Okay.
In regards to the motion that is currently in front of you, I think you're in a stronger position as far as leverage goes once you have the performance agreement, and in particular when it's backed up with a letter of credit. Since that is the subject that you're on, I just thought I'd mention it.
Can you clarify what it is exactly that's being covered by the surety agreement?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also itemized in the packet. So we have basically sidewalks, street trees, the final lift of asphalt, revegetation, and also for the second letter of credit is for the BMP, so for the pond, the stormwater pond. So the reason the letters of credit are separate for this particular case is they've decided to separate them because with the BMP, that's not complete until basically after the development is complete. So you'll have all the other items complete, theoretically, beforehand. So that's the only reason they split it up. There's no additional liability to the city or anything like that. Our attorney has drafted the PLM agreements and reviewed the letters of credit to make sure that everything's in order.
And what did you say as a BMP? What does that stand for again?
Yeah. So.
Best management practices.
Okay.
It's your stormwater
And that-
ponds, your pipes, your rock outfalls, your swales, drainage ditches.
So all the
Those all
things that we're
fall under.
talking about right now.
Yeah, except for the concern that y'all are talking about is actually in phase one, where there's already an existing LOC and PLM agreement in place. This BMP is actually over in phase two.
And does the phase one have an expiration date?
100.
Expiration date?
Well, the letter of credit has an expiration date, but it automatically renews. If it does not automatically renew, the issuing bank is required to give you 60 days notice, and during that 60 days, for any reason or no reason, if they haven't replaced it with a satisfactory letter of credit, you can cash the existing letter of credit.
Thank you. You told me that. I just wanted it to be.
Yep.
Two last questions, Nick. How many phases are there left in this project? Do we know?
This
is
the
it?
final, yeah.
Okay. Since this one includes sidewalks, I would trying to understand if that has connectivity to the other existing trails that go through Lake Ridge, because part of our agreement was that the trails would be connected from Windell Woods through Lake Ridge to Catawba Park. And in addition to that, and I've brought this up before, and it's either my memory or the lack of a clear answer, but there was an original agreement from the developer to build a trail that went to the elementary schools at Gold Hill Middle and Gold Hill Elementary. Recently, they said they couldn't do that because of topography, which I think is BS, but that's just me. But that said, if that's really, truly not possible, I want to know what has been offered in exchange for that that's of value to the rest of Tega Cay residents.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you stated, that was the original agreement. They went and amended the preliminary plat, I believe, last summer with the Planning Commission. But
Hey, Nick, don't take this as this is against you. You're the messenger. I get it. But
no, yeah,
but
yeah.
if you know, I want you to share that with us.
Right. And so basically, since that was done, they agreed to basically their amenity area between Lake Ridge and Windell Woods is going to be open, to the public. And it is stated, what they've let me know is it's going to have pickleball, a dog park, and outdoor exercise equipment will be on that property. And so there's the Duke right-of-way. So like I said, this is on the southern side of Windell Woods, and this would be on the east side of Gardendale. So adjacent to that property. So they acquired that, I believe, from Drake. And so in lieu of the trail to the, back towards the elementary school, which is on that, slope, they are going to construct this. And the latest they told me is it should be ready. The goal is for them to have this ready by by the time the first homes are CO'd. So in the next, I would say by summer is the latest. And I just checked on that end of last
24?
week. Yes. So it's the latest that I've heard on that. So like I said, I just got
Do you have any kind of description or artist rendering or definition of what those three things that you mentioned?
I don't yet. I know that they're working through some approvals they have to get with Duke. I think that's slowing it down a little bit because of that right-of-way that goes through there. So I haven't received anything, but as soon as I do, I'd definitely be more than happy to share.
Okay. Sorry to hit you with those. I probably should have prepared you for that, but thank you for answering those.
So the trail is completely off the table now?
So the trail, instead of going down the hill behind Windell Woods, it's going to.
That's on the north side, right, Nick? That would have been?
So so the school is
Sorry
sort
to
of
interrupt.
northeast, and there's also a property in between the school property, and there's a sliver in between the school property and Shay's property. But instead of going northeast across that property, if they could have secured access, it's going to go south through the park and then ultimately connect down to Lake Ridge. So. We are getting to.
You will definitely have a trail on Gardendale Road connecting Windell Woods on down to the crosswalk that's on Gardendale Road, which then gets them over to the trail that goes down to the park. Yep. So you will have that connectivity.
So.
You were talking about the trail to school though, I think, right?
So with that, when Main Street comes in, in order to get our kids from Cadence, Lake Ridge, Main Street, do we have a plan for the trail to be installed then? Or the sidewalk?
So part of their plans, Nick, please correct me if I'm wrong, they've got to connect on up to Cadence via sidewalk on Dam Road. Or
That's
excuse me,
what I thought I
Gardendale
remember
Road,
too.
and provided they can get the necessary permits, approvals through an encroachment permit from DOT, they're supposed to put one on the other side as well, on the Dam Road side. So you're going to have external sidewalks, an external activity trail that connects from, we'll call it the eastern side of Gardendale Road, going back down to Lake Ridge, and then you've got those external sidewalks that are all part of the plat.
So we're doing a pedestrian crossing right there where the carriage homes are to the park?
That's up to DOT.
Love to have some RFBs there too.
It would be nice.
We know you would.
It would be
I
nice.
love those
Yes, sir.
things.
You're doing a good job with them. Nick, list those three things one more time for me. You said pickleball, exercise area, and what was the other thing?
Dog park.
Dog park?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have any further discussion, folks?
No. Thanks for all that.
Okay. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Okay. I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That will bring us to our city manager's report. Mr. Furnerbrook, if you would, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. First, congratulations to Nick Coffin on being named as our new Development Services Director. I appreciate his work and effort there, and looking forward to great things with him in that new position. City offices will be closed next Friday, March 29th, for the Easter holiday. Council, just as a heads up, that following week, first week of April, I am taking a vacation with my family. We'll have very, very, very limited access to email and phone, but Joey will be here if something urgent comes up. Joey wants no rain while I'm gone. He wants no rain while I'm gone. I'd like to remind everybody that's either here or watching at home, don't forget to take our communication survey that we've pushed out. The link for that is on our website, and it can be taken through the end of this month. We had a big surge of folks taking it when we first pushed it out. It's kind of dwindled off, so we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to take that survey. Saturday, March 30th will be the Lions Club annual Easter egg hunt at Rundi Park. Festivities will begin at 10 a.m. sharp. So if you've never been to one, you better be there before 10 because it goes quick. So, but very appreciative of the Lions Club holding that annual event for us. And if it's okay with council, I've got two of our staff members I'd like to bring up. First one being Dustin Overton, our Parks and Rec Director, to provide an update on the Parks and Rec Master Plan. Dustin, if you will.
Council, hope you all are doing well this evening. I just want to provide a quick or brief update regarding the Ad Hoc Committee Parks and Recreation Master Plan. I know you all have fielded some questions regarding it recently. First, I just want to thank the members of the committee for volunteering their time. They did a fantastic job of collecting and analyzing some of the data, so I really do appreciate their efforts. Obviously, the project has taken a little bit longer than we had anticipated while working with our internal resources. However, myself and newly promoted Nick Coffin are currently working on the project right now, the master plan. We anticipate having a rough draft for council to view prior to y'all's next council meeting. Hopefully you can see some of the work that's being done on that and be prepared for it. However, for those itching to see the survey results before the master plan is released to the public, we will have all 130 pages available to view on the Parks and Recreation website tomorrow afternoon. So if anyone likes to get into the weeds and look at data, you will have all the data you would like to look at. So that'll be available on the Parks and Rec website, like I said, tomorrow afternoon. So that's my brief update, and appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thanks, Dustin. And now, Mayor and Council, I'd like to bring Chief Crosby up. He's got some exciting things coming out of the police department that he's going to share tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, we released a couple of weeks ago, since about December, we have been working to develop with a developer a cell phone app for our citizens and for our staff members. So ability for us to be able to communicate with them a little bit better. As we all know, Facebook has become a platform that those become to expect for communication. But due to algorithms and other things, sometimes our citizens are just not getting the information they need. So we wanted a more focused approach so we could guarantee that our citizens and our team members were able to get timely information very quickly to their phone. So, if you will, one of the only times you might be able to do this, if you'll take out your cell phones, go to the App Store or to the Google Play Store, and if you will search for Tega Cay Police Department SC. Tega Cay Police Department SC. If you will download that, or if you're in the audience and you want to scan the QR code, you can scan the QR code and you'll be able to download our app that is now fully functional. Very proud of this app. There's been a lot of hard work into this. I'd like to thank Gretchen for her work and her support with getting this done. If you'll see at the top, just a quick overview. You're able to contact us. There's emails and phone numbers for every command staff member of the police department. You're able to submit a tip if you click on submit a tip. I would like to remind the public that this does not replace 911. If you have an emergency, contact 911, but you're able to submit a tip here. Some other important information, if you'll click on the TCPD news and events, we're going to utilize this to release some information to our public. As you see, if you click on that, we have a statement there about the new app and a message from me. And then finally, there's some other things such as join our team. One of the features that I love the most is right in the middle at the bottom. It says CPR. If you click on the CPR, if you have someone that is in distress, you can click on that portion of the app. It plays the video and will talk you through how to do CPR in case someone is in distress. There's also 2 additional programs that we want to share with you and make the public aware. We will kind of launch them as the app kind of becomes more available. But they are the Compass program and the Are You OK program. And I'm going to start with the Compass program, which will be this little sticker that you see here that we're going to offer to our citizens. If our citizens have someone that has a health condition, mental health condition, a behavioral need, or a special needs, that will enhance our response to them. So in other words, my father was a diabetic, and there were times where he gave across the appearance that he may be intoxicated. If I was to register my father for this particular program and place this sticker on my front door, that would let law enforcement and police officers know before we ever get to the scene that there's someone in that home that has a challenge or something that we need to be aware of. So especially for individuals that may have confined to wheelchairs or many other things that we need to know as we respond to that scene, you can come by the police department, sign up for this. You can get a sticker that either goes on your car or on your home, and it lets us know that you're part of that program so we can research that information in our CAD system. Totally voluntarily program. We wanted to create something that was not labeling per se. So we wanted to identify this compass, which, as you will, it gives us direction on how to better serve you, our citizens. The second program that we're going to launch is called the Are You OK program. So we're going to have, if you are someone that has a medical condition, someone in our elderly community that may live alone, maybe you just had surgery, you have nobody to take care of you, and you just want somebody to call you once a week to make sure that you're okay and that you don't need any assistance. You're able to sign up for this, and we will call you one day a week and on a given day at a given time and make sure that you're okay. If you do not answer the phone, then we will send an officer out to your residence to try to make contact with you to make sure that you're not in need of assistance. Our end goal for this is to make this a community partnership. So what we're going to be doing for all of the volunteers that may be in the room from the Lions Club or the Men's Club or the Women's Club, we're going to be seeking that you partnership with us in this endeavor. Mary, you're always talking about giving back to the community and connecting with each other and serving each other. And so we would like for those volunteers to maybe assist us. And instead of just this being a police department effort, maybe this week is the Lions Club. And we have a member of the Lions Club that comes in this week. They make the phone calls. Maybe next week is the Women's Club. They have a representative come in to the police department. They make the phone calls. It does multiple things. It gives another opportunity for our citizens to serve. We get to take care of those that may be in need of our community, but it also allows us to connect with our citizens as well on a more intimate basis. So we're very excited to launch these programs. If you were on the app, look, it says in the bottom right-hand corner, it says More, 3 little buttons. You will see the Compass program. The Are You OK program is already on our app for you to fill out the registration links. There's also things for you to do, such as a residence check, business check. You can even pay your tickets if you get a ticket. And there's also your 72-hour permits for your boat and other things that you may have in your driveway that you need to fill out. Again, this is just very much an exciting way through this app for us to connect a very focused communication piece with our citizens. And the final piece that I will share with you on this is that our citizens did not pay for this app. We use drug seizure funds, so the defendants of York County, they paid for this for us for the first year. Hey, I said that for 24 years, so it's hard to break. So they paid for this app for us through the seizure fund, so this came at no cost to our citizens. Okay? All right. Any questions? All right. One last thing. We did find out last night that the National Weather Service, we do have alerts through the National Weather Service, and it did wake me up at 3:21 in the morning. So in the top right-hand corner, you will see it says Notification Settings. If you will click on that, you are able to disable the National Weather Service alerts, so you do not get that freeze warning at 3:21 in the morning. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
And Mr. Mayor and Council, that concludes the manager's report for this evening.
Okie doke. And we will take up council comments.
I'll go
first. Okay, Brian, go ahead.
There we go. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, residents, for being here this evening, and everybody that's watching online. I appreciate you guys being here and watching online. I'd like to thank the Tega Cay Police Department and the Tega Cay Fire Department for keeping our community safe and always putting us at the forefront of what they do each and every day. like to thank the city staff for everything that they do to keep the city running day in and day out. I'd like to do an extra special thank you for last week. We did a council workshop, and there was Tega Cay City staff that was extra time, extra hours, extra preparation for them to be here and help us with that council workshop, and thank you so much for doing that. Let's see. So I like to do recognition for someone in the community, somebody that's like does something positive, or they've done something to give back to the community, to do something to make an impact. And, you know, people always talk about things that people do wrong, and then they post it on social media, and everyone talks about that kind of stuff. But I think about positivity and focusing on people. So I had a resident reach out to me, and they gave me a situation where they have this business, and they needed some help with their business, and they put a request out online, and somebody responded back and came over and helped this this resident with their business and the problem that they were having. And throughout the whole process, they actually just did it for free, like, you know, just, hey, no problem, I'm just helping you out, which is a wonderful thing up front, like with what that they did. But then the resident went off and started talking about a couple of other things that they do. And this person goes off and they go to the homeless shelters around, and they try and help some of the homeless people that are in the areas that are surrounding us. But then they started talking about more, and this person goes to the local schools and talks to the local teenagers, the students, and they talk to them about mental health. And they talk to them about suicide prevention and making sure that they understand that it's not something that, you know, it's something taboo to talk about, but it's something that they need to talk about. If they need help, this person's there for them. And I was like, whoa. On top of that, this person goes off and builds computers with spare parts that they find, and they ship them to students that are overseas. Just amazing. This person lives in our community. His name is Kyle Childs, and want to say thank you for what you do each and every day, and just focusing on that, and just say thank you. I'm done.
Councilman Heisler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First just a shout out, thank you to all the volunteers who served in the past, and all the committees and boards, and all the new volunteers who were voted in tonight. Thanks for all you do. The Tega Cay Music Association, I know it was a long time coming since that Christmas a year ago. Finally got a new piano. Excited for that and everything you're going to do with the new association. And the May 11th event, I can't wait for Scott Shirley to sing. I'd like to obviously thank all the public who are here tonight and watching at home. Appreciate it. And the Wildlife Society Association. Society. Thanks for being here, and the engagement we do. Bob went home, but the finance department, great shout out to them for their work with the audit and giving us a clean bill of health financially. To all the staff, the city's looking awesome. Flowers are blooming. They'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. Thanks to our friends, the deer. But in the meantime, enjoy it while you can. And, of course, thanks to Police and Fire Chief. Love the new app. That's awesome. I'm excited about that. So thank you for that. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Shirley.
Well, since it's only 9 o'clock, I mean, we're used to go until 11. I think we should take a little time
It's
with
22. You can't tell time over there with that laptop that you got.
Well, you're right. The laptop time is off. Says 9:04. I'm good with that too. Hey, I just want to ditto what the previous two councilmen said about our law enforcement and our fire first responders. What a great job they do taking care of our residents in our city, and our city staff, and the hard work that goes in. We see these guys and gals out on our streets and in our parks. Those are the unsung heroes. The department heads and Charlie and Joey get to come to these meetings, and they're on camera every once in a while, but there's a lot of folks that aren't on camera that keep our city running, keep it beautiful, keep it safe, and you as well, all the folks that serve our city that maybe don't get recognition or don't get on camera, we really are very, very grateful and thankful for you. Also, thank you to the outgoing committee members and incoming committee members. We appreciate greatly the time that you serve and volunteer
to serve our city. Special shout out to two of them. Ashley Raven got a award tonight, and he's the chairman of our Economic Development Committee. He's kind of an unsung hero. He's kind of a quiet guy, works in the back and doesn't want to necessarily be recognized. He's probably going to hate me for saying this and drawing attention to him, but I really appreciate the time that you give the city, the volunteering time that you give, and for various activities that go on in the city and the community. And you do it thanklessly and selflessly, and we really appreciate that. Also, a couple seats away from him is Gus Machunas, who sat up here for several years, and he's graciously volunteered his time on the Economic Development Committee. He threw his hat in the ring and said, hey, I want to continue to serve, and grateful for that, Gus. Thank you for doing that. I look forward to sitting in on those meetings with you guys and be a fly on the wall and report back to council the good things that you guys are doing. Let's see. Thank you for those that attended the workshop that we had last Wednesday. It was pretty cool. I got a lot out of it. I thought it was a really great opportunity for council members to explore ideas and some creativity. And very few times that people approach these council members and say, thank you for what you do, and I want to do it publicly and tell each and every one of you guys I appreciate the time that you spend serving the city. I know sometimes it's pretty thankless and you don't really get recognized for all the hours that you put in every month between these meetings, and I know what you do, and I know how much time you spend serving the city, because I'm on every text message with each and every one of you individually, and I'm on phone calls with you throughout the month, and with Charlie and with his team, and a lot goes into us showing up for this meeting, and I want to thank each and every one of you for the time you put into the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Shirley. Mayor Pro Tem?
Again, thank you for the exiting committee members and for all of you that have either volunteered, again, bless you. And for those of you that have raised your hand and you've been selected, I know that it takes time and it takes commitment to be part of that, so thank you for doing that. If you are still interested and you're looking for that, the Art Council, I believe we're still getting applications for that, and the Building Code of Appeals, obviously that's going back out again. So if you are still interested, there's still opportunities. The chats with council, we have March 28th at 5 p.m. I don't know where that's going to be yet, but we'll post it up there. I think Tom and I are enjoying, well, I'll say I'm enjoying the conversations. I'll let Tom say that for himself. But they have been good, and it's a good opportunity to listen and then to follow up with from some of those questions. And as far as the workshop, I don't know about anybody else, but I had no idea what we were going to do when we sat here, and if we were just going to stare at each other and not have like the conversations that we needed to have. But it takes trust, and I think that we all were able to really say what we wanted to say and what we felt, and we felt like we could, even though I forgot that there was a camera until somebody else said something about it. So I hope that we continue that, because I think it does build trust, not just from the outside looking in, but also from the inside looking in, between all of us, to be able to share our opinions and to do it with that transparency and that communication. I think it helps us build that relationship with each other. So I'm really glad that we did that, and that we were all very, very open about our thoughts and direction on that. I don't know if this is a thing or not that we shouldn't do, but if you celebrate Easter, I wish you a happy Easter, and that is all that I have.
Thank you, Councilman Miller. And that comes to me. I'd like to thank all of our folks that have ever volunteered in this city to do anything. It is a selfless act when you volunteer to help our city. There's a lot of folks that need a lot of help in our city. One of those being, Chief brought it to again tonight. Reach out to the folks around you. Reach out to your senior citizens that live around you. See if they need some help. Spring's right around the corner. There's all kinds of little things that we're dropping out of the trees that get all over everything and could create a slippery path for our folks to get in and out. So if you can, take a blower over to the house and blow the steps off for them, maybe get a sidewalk or two. Take time to get out and enjoy the spring and all of the flowers before they're eaten. Some of them won't be. Some of them will be. My plastic ones, they make it. So get you some of those. But once again, thanks, Chief. Appreciate the doing everything with the new app. I think that's going to be a great tool for all of our citizens to use. Looking forward to some more technology coming out. It's going to be great. And then, just the ideas. Are you okay? That's something that is a very good program. And I appreciate the thought in doing that. Also, the Compass program, it's a really good thing for our police officers, our firefighters. Chief, do we still have those stickers that everybody had at their house that you can list out how many members you had, pets or anything? I know in some of our older homes, I don't know if you guys have them on yours, but I've got a sticker on the window that says how many folks we have in the house, two guys, 2 girls, and 2 pets. It's an old sticker because my house is old, but something like that, maybe something like that, we could look at doing that as well, so we make sure we get everybody. Folks, just revel in the spring and new life, and just appreciate your surroundings. You live in a beautiful place. This city is gorgeous. The people are gorgeous people. And let's just make sure that we all understand that we share the same piece of dirt. We might disagree sometimes on things, but Tega Cay is a beautiful place, and the folks that live in it are beautiful people. And with that, I will call for a motion, executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we go to executive session.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are in executive session. Thank you, folks.